is state building.
Wolfgang Puck, it is an honor. Thank you very much for sitting down for a few minutes. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
So,
Gary.
so where in the line of your career does a documentary about your life fall? Are you just as nervous about this as you are about opening one of your hundreds of restaurants, of creating a new dish, doing the Oscars? Where does this documentary on Disney Plus fall for you?
Well, I really thought, David, David Gelb, the director, he told the story the way he saw it, the way I explained it to him, and the way I lived my life. And he really did a great job telling the story. But it also stopped at a certain point. Like the last 20 years are not really in that movie. Maybe we're going to have to do a second part for that because we expanded a lot. The new business, Galila, my wife, is involved in with me, and my son Byron is involved with me, and so forth. So I think there's certainly a second part wanted, but the hard part is over. Going back, reliving my past was really the hard part for me.
Do you sit down and even though you lived through the documentary, go, I really didn't realize that until I told the story?
It always was in my head when I used to go to Austria, and
Right.
I always felt like, oh my God, I can't wait to leave. Somehow this whole thing stayed in my head. Yet I also had great childhood memories from my mother cooking the Wiener Schnitzel and making Kaiserschmarrn or Palatschinken. So there were good parts, and some of the good parts I put on the menu now at Spargo. So I think I want to relive the good parts too. And I thought if I do that, it will help me think better about my childhood. But then when I go deep into it, it's still there. The bad part still comes out, the abusiveness of my stepfather,
Right.
both physically and emotionally, the abusiveness of the first chef, both physically and emotionally. I don't think that's ever going to go away. And I can understand today with all these things coming to the surface where women get abused, where people got abused, I really have a lot of empathy for them.
Well, just like your life, I mean, food has stories. Like every dish has a story, and just like that, every person has a story too. And funny that you bring up Wiener Schnitzel because my boss in here in New York City, he's from Austria, and he's only been happy for two people. Very excited when I've interviewed a lot of people. You and the governor Schwarzenegger. So he wants to know where where can he get good breading for the schnitzel in New York, because he hasn't been able to find the quality breading for his when he's making it at home.
Well, I think he should call a bakery in Austria and have them send some semmels and then dry them out and grate them, and then he would be happy.
Well, hopefully that just got me a raise. But let's talk.
Tell him panko is pretty good. If it's too coarse to grind it just a little bit, that's what we do. And it's very consistent.
Now, the most interesting part for me is being from New York, where the staple is pizza. For you to bring pizza into the fine cuisine world, in the documentary you talk about Joan Collins and how you made it right on the spot. But what was the feedback after that too? I mean, what were a lot of the writers like? How do you bring pizza into a restaurant like that? Like I can only imagine it wasn't as positive as you might seem, right?
Not at all, especially the Italian. They said, why you fuck around with my cooking, with our style of pizza, with our style of that? I said, this is not a pizza. I remember when I made frozen pizzas, I had to go, so on the recipe, there was no tomato sauce. I said, I put pesto on it, olive oil on, whatever. I had to go to the Congress to testify and get through the approval and saying, and they said, pizza has to have tomato sauce. So I was in front of these people and I said, who are you to tell me how to make a pizza? What does it mean tomato sauce? Well, it says in the book it has tomato sauce. I said, in a book, this is somebody's opinion, That's
one person's opinion, yeah. Yeah, what book were they reading is what I want to know, too.
So, but I could not persuade them to say, no, you don't need that. So I said, well, you're so smart and you are cooked better than me. Tell me how much tomato sauce you need. And they said, well, I don't know. You decide. So I said, okay. So then I said, okay, you mean if I put half a teaspoon of tomato sauce on my pizza and write on the ingredient list tomato sauce, is okay? They said, yeah, then it's okay.
That's a whole part three Disney
Yeah.
Plus has on their hands. Wolfgang Puck versus the government over pizza.
Or
Now,
about frozen chicken, the same thing.
now, looking at your Instagram too, I don't even think, were you aware that you were a part of Ariana Grande's huge weekend? She just got married and she comes to you for dinner. I mean, is that one of those things where she's going off the menu? Do you just roll stuff out of the kitchen? I mean, how does something like that work?
It was so funny when she came to the restaurant with all these young people. I did not know who she was. I saw beautiful girls there,
right,
and young boys with them. And I thought, oh, you guys have no school today. You're out of school already. I didn't say high school or college. So, and then I left the table, and then they came running. The waiter runs after me and says, they want to take a picture. And I said, who is it? Who are these kids? And he said, oh, it's Ariana Grande with her husband, your new husband or something. And
yep.
Friends, yeah.
So interesting.
We sat down and we said, okay, maybe they asked me, do you want to come with us and do karaoke? I said, I'm the worst singer. I said, I'd much rather take you guys in the kitchen and teach you how to make a pizza or a Wiener Schnitzel.
Now, so about 2 years ago, cut in New York, I'm going out for a restaurant. My friend plays a joke on me where he calls and cancels. He calls and I fell for it. I thought my reservation was getting canceled. So I have vowed to get back at him over the last 2 years. Is there any way to ban my friend Tommy Vucetic from all your restaurants across the world?
Well, send me his number, his telephone number, and his name, and we'll do it. All right,
Wolfgang, my man. That's what I'm talking about. I played the long game on this one, and it paid off for sure too.
Okay.
Watching the documentary, I think you might even not realize, or maybe you do, but I think you could pick up where Anthony Bourdain left us in storytelling. Because the way I watched your story, more interesting, and the way it was shot, it was so beautiful. I could see that happening down the road. So I don't know who.
I definitely think we should have part two. I think it would be an important part to show where we are now, and that life continued. And I think this was a great part to show how I got to a certain point, and now the second part, how we got bigger, how I work now together with my wife Galila, and how I work like with my son Byron and everything. I think, and the expansion, like we are opening in 2 weeks in Budapest. We already in London, Singapore, and everywhere. And you don't know about that from the movie.
Wow. Well, it's been an honor talking to one of the best cooks out there versus me, which is I call myself the worst cook too. Thank God I married an Italian woman. She knows what she's doing. I just sit back and enjoy. I melted cheese once in a pot. You ever try to get mozzarella out of a pot? I was babysitting. I thought she said put the cheese in the hot water. It was a big mess, sir.
All right, stay out of the kitchen.
Yeah, I will stay out of the kitchen. I will enjoy from the other side. I will enjoy your food. I will not be in your kitchen anytime soon.
We love people like you who don't know how to cook.
Yes, I keep you in business. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to part two whenever that may be. Wolfgang, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
From the top of the Empire State Building.
C100.